hello to all of you, live and not live. During this call, we're going to give a bit of an introduction to the Yoga for Arthritis teacher training program. So I'm going to describe the general philosophy and origins of the program, and we'll give you some information about the upcoming trainings that we have during the next few months. I'll explain the structure of the training program. Nancy, you have an echo. If you can, I think it might be resolved. So I'll explain each of the parts of the training, and then on the call here we have several other Yoga for Arthritis trainers, and they'll have an opportunity to talk about their training that's going to be held in a particular location, so that you can get a sense of not only our calendar and where these trainings fall on the schedule and where they're located, but a little bit about the facility, about what makes that particular location unique, and then you'll have an opportunity to ask any questions of any of us. So Krista, you can advance to the next slide. So the Yoga for Arthritis program developed as a research protocol for a study at Johns Hopkins University evaluating the effects of yoga, initially for people with rheumatoid arthritis, also for osteoarthritis. And what happened with that training is that over the course of several years, it gained a lot of attention and notoriety, and the study grew larger and more robust, more rigorous in its methods. And the findings were pretty powerful and profound. And what happened in my life during that time is that not only did I get a whole lot of research funding in order to continue that work, and a PhD in public health with that as my dissertation topic, but there were requests coming to me on a regular basis from journalists who were interested in writing about this topic, to yoga teachers who were seeing more arthritis in their classes and weren't sure that they had the tools or felt equipped to be able to keep those students safe in their classes, as well as people living with arthritis who were looking to yoga as a possible way to help manage their disease. So by the time the research study was completed in 2010, I felt very compelled to start working with yoga teachers and eventually yoga therapists in honing this specialty. The idea that I had was that eventually there would be a network of yoga professionals around the country and around the world who knew how to work with people who had arthritis, so that if someone called me and said that they were in Neenah, Wisconsin and living with arthritis, that I would be able to tell them what teacher they could go to find a safe and positive experience. During that time, I also discovered just how much diversity there is among yoga professionals and styles of yoga and preparedness for working with different kinds of bodies. And that someone with arthritis could wander into a class and have a very positive experience where that could be the beginning of a life transformation, and someone else with arthritis could wander into a class and end up feeling less than or even hurting themselves. So it became important to me to do something about that. And it started off with a small training with just a handful of people in Baltimore, and that quickly evolved to the robust Yoga for Arthritis program that we have today, with multiple levels of training, one-on-one mentorship, teacher trainers around the country, and that network of teachers that I had envisioned. who really know how to work with this population. During that time, over the last 10 years, there has also been an emergence in the field of yoga therapy. And this work really fits nicely into the realm of yoga therapy. So we have yoga teachers who are seeing people with arthritis in their classes, and then we also have yoga therapists who are working with clients one-on-one around the particular challenges that they have. So it really is well suited to both types of yoga professional. You can see on this slide that we've gotten a whole lot of press, and in fact, we were also just featured in U.S. News and World Report, so we can add that one to the list. I just presented this information at the Smithsonian yesterday, so we continue to be well received in the public sphere. So why yoga for people who live with arthritis? Well, first of all, it's incredibly prevalent, and arthritis happens across the entire lifespan. There are people age 2 living with arthritis. There are people 102 living with arthritis, and we aim to serve people with arthritis across the lifespan. The prevalence is growing, has grown up until this point, and is projected to grow even more in coming years, fueled both by the fact that we're just living longer. We also have this boomer generation that is aging and getting arthritis, and also because there are lifestyle factors that can predispose us to arthritis, including athletic injuries at a younger age, repetitive motion, an obesity epidemic, all of which can contribute to greater arthritis prevalence. Because of that, no matter who you are, if you're teaching yoga classes, it is incredibly likely that people with arthritis are coming into your classes. And even if they don't have arthritis when they arrive, they could have arthritis several years later. So all yoga professionals should really know how to work with this population. And that means not just learning how to modify poses according to the joints that are affected, but also understanding the life experience and challenges that affect people with arthritis and the many ways that yoga can have an impact, not just on a musculoskeletal level, but on a neuromuscular level, on an endocrine level, and certainly on the level of perspective and outlook. Okay, so as I just said, you're seeing these folks already, right? And you may not know that you are, but the more attuned you are to this population, the more you'll be aware of that, and the more this type of student is going to seek you out because of that expertise, because you're going to be able to help them feel safe and comfortable in a yoga experience. And I'll say for me personally, there are tons of yoga classes for people who are well and fit. And it is much more difficult for someone living with limitations to find a yoga professional that understands them and can work with them. And the opportunities for transformation are so enormous. The kinds of transformations that you're much less likely to see in the well population. So our training is grounded in 2 basic philosophies. One is the Panchamaya Kosha model. So we do not want yoga professionals to become siloed in the way that medical professionals have. If you specialize in working with people with arthritis, that doesn't mean that you are only considering their knee joint and working with them. And we have a great philosophical model that helps to make sure that we maintain a holistic perspective, and that's the Panchamaya Kosha model. So we do certainly consider the anatomy and pathophysiology of arthritis so that we understand what the effects are, particularly of the asana that we're introducing, but we also want to understand what's happening on the level of energy, of prana. Is there fatigue? Is there a jitteriness? Is there a challenge in terms of breath that's affecting the nervous system that we need to look at? We consider the mind and the common comorbidities of depression, of anxiety, of stress challenges that can exacerbate what's going on. We look to the wisdom perspective that people with arthritis have an opportunity to attain by realizing the silver lining, or the positive experiences that they're still having, and finding gratitude for things that are happening in their lives. And also even the Anandamana Kosha, the bliss body, and how we can feel that connection, that union that is yoga with or without a diagnosis. Simultaneously, as a scientist, it's important to me that we be considering evidence-informed practice. And evidence-informed practice is often misunderstood to be just about the research literature, and I'm certainly very interested as a researcher in what the literature has to say. But evidence-informed practice also includes the priorities of the client or student, what matters to them, what their values are, what they're ready for, what they're willing to do, and also expert opinion, which means your own experience, your intuition, the training that you've received, the ancient texts. So we want to include all available resources in our perspective, and in doing so, there's more of a reliance on the science and the underlying mechanisms of our work than you might find in other trainings. We also include, and I'll talk about this a little more, an opportunity to practice these skills both in group settings and to get feedback one-on-one, so that you really refine your approach and hone it over time. Krista is my slide forwarder. Thank you, Krista. All right. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Anne, who's going to be co-teaching at Kripalu with me, so that she can tell you a little bit about our first training of the season.
Great. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, great. So I'll just tell a little bit about myself and then about the Kripalu experience. So I did my teacher training in India. And when I came back to the US, I knew I wanted to go into the sciences, so pre-med, pre-physical therapy course load, starting from the beginning because I had an art background. And as I was finishing all of that, I was trying to really figure out how to put together both yoga and science. And so I thought going into physical therapy would be the best way. So as I was filling out my applications, I went to Yogaville to study with Stephanie for Yoga for Arthritis. And the program blew me away. It was really, as she's describing, that perfect blend of science and understanding the mechanisms and the research, but also the sense of heart and really caring and looking at the life experience of people with arthritis. And she casually mentioned that in a few weeks she would be starting to teach at the first Masters of Science in Yoga Therapy program. And I immediately put my physical therapy applications aside and joined that program, started in a few weeks. And I graduated from the first cohort of that first Masters of Science in Yoga Therapy program. And thank you, Nancy. And so during that time, Stephanie became my mentor, and I became a Yoga for Arthritis teacher trainer with her. And I'm really excited that we're finally bringing this to Kripalu. I was in Kripalu last year, and this is a picture of me on this slide. It's really a beautiful place. Especially the time of year next month that we'll be going, that just walking around outside and being in nature is so phenomenal. Here is me when I got to take a break and go kayaking, and we all the people that were kayaking, we gathered our kayaks together and held hands and we meditated. And apparently this is a pretty rare event, and I'd like to think that our meditation brought them there. But the bald eagle that was visiting swooped down and flew over us. So it was super amazing. And I know that if you go to Kripalu, you'll have experiences like this. They have amazing food there. And also it's spread out over 5 days, 5 weekdays. So there's a little bit more time in the schedule to get to know other people in the program, make those network contacts, and go outside and enjoy the environment at Kripalu. So I don't know. Stephanie, oh, there it is. Stephanie, do you have anything to add about Kripalu or any questions you'd like me to answer about that?
I think it speaks for itself. We're so excited to be able to go there for the first time this year, and like Anne said, it's a little bit more stretched out of a schedule, which for some people can present a challenge, but for others an opportunity to just be able to take the training at a more relaxed pace. I will also add, so I don't know if Anne dropped off the line, but I was muted, so I didn't get to say, you know, a big round of applause to her that Nancy gestured for being in the first cohort of the nation's only Masters of Science in Yoga Therapy, which is enormous, and we're so incredibly proud and excited about that. And Anne also teaches anatomy and physiology in colleges in multiple locations, and she really knows her stuff in terms of the musculoskeletal system. She leads cadaver training, so being with her is also a remarkable opportunity. So I will also say that for anyone who's not live on the call, if there are questions that you have, don't hesitate to reach out to us. The website is arthritis.yoga, and there it is. And then you can also email us at info@arthritis.yoga. So don't hesitate to do that. We're happy to answer any questions that you have about anything that we've covered here. So to the other teacher trainers who are on the call, is there anything that you would like to add?
I would just, can you hear me? Yeah, I would just encourage anyone who has any interest whatsoever in working and is interested in working with elders and even is thinking of being a lifelong yogi yourself, that this training is absolutely, as Mary said, life transforming. And there is not a day or a night that goes by when I don't either use something that I've learned in this training or something that I've learned in the teaching, you know, from people who are experiencing the pain, the weakness, the challenges. And you are able to see and to actually be part of so many life transformations with this big umbrella that arthritis and pain opens up to so many people who need this and who love it once, and I'm sure this is your experience too, Mary and Stephanie, I know it's yours. So you will never, ever regret it.
I was able to give a few talks at the Smithsonian over the weekend, and one of them was about transformation. And this is something that I get to speak on frequently, and I'm blessed to be able to do so, that through the years that I've been doing this work, I have been privy to countless stories of transformation that would just have your jaw on the floor and a tear in your eye. That I feel so blessed to be a vessel for these teachings, reaching people who need them so profoundly and whose lives are forever changed from the experience. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that comment, Patricia. She says that she took the level 1 training 4 years ago in New York, and it was great. She learned more in that training than a 70-hour general yoga therapy that she had previously taken. Well, I'm glad that it was beneficial, Patricia, and hopefully we will see you again. Great. Thank you so much, everyone, and namaste.